Hi guys, how are you? And welcome to our next YouTube video. I'm going to do this without my mask on because you guys are all at least 2 meters away from me, I'm sure. Okay, we thought we would actually have a really nice detailed explanation of one feature on certain BERNINA sewing machines. These are the combo machines, so your machines that do sewing and embroidery. We thought that today we would take you through a very specific embroidery feature that has been introduced by BERNINA in their top of the range embroidery sewing machine combination. So the models that have the pinpoint placement, that's what this feature is called. It's the BERNINA 590, the BERNINA 500, 700, 790, and then the 880. So these have this extra little placement feature that makes it really easy for anybody who's into embroidery to very successfully position their design. Because it gives you 2 points of references, and as you adjust your design according to those 2 points, the machine not only changes the size but even makes sure that the alignment is perfect. And if that sounded like mumbo jumbo to you, I'm going to show you today how it looks on an actual piece of project embroidery so that you see how easy this is, and hopefully if you've never explored this feature but you have the sewing machine, this video will help you get there. So I actually have just a very nice patchwork piece over here, and the project is really simple. On this line over here, I want to just embroider someone's name, okay? So I think one of the biggest grumbles of everybody who embroiders is they get very freaked out when you're writing, say, a name on a line, that the name will not be straight with respect to the line, because sometimes when you hoop the fabric, depending on how you hoop it, that line can become a little wonky, right? So pinpoint placement is like a perfect feature for us to show you how you can not worry about lines, not worry about any checks or any kind of printed fabric that you might have where lines are are really important to you. So think about if you have a shirt, it has a pocket and you want to embroider on the pocket or above the pocket. The line makes a big difference, right? So this is a cotton fabric. The choice of stabilizer that I use for an embroidery like this, honestly, is a tear-away stabilizer. So it means any way you try to tear, it just tears really, really easily. We use the Sulky Tear Easy Stabilizer, which is really popular. And because the fabric has no stretch, you don't have to add anything more, and it's also quite a medium weight stabilizer. For those of you watching this video, if you want us to do a YouTube video on embroidery stabilizers like the basics, just let us know. I'll have one ready for you. So there's only one thing that I like to sort of mark when it comes to embroidery. I like to always make sure that I have my BERNINA tape measure. I'm just kidding. Okay, I like to make sure that I know the center of the design, okay? So the design needs to not sit on the line. It's about a 1-inch design, so it's literally going to fit between these two areas. Hopefully everything is like 1 inch. I might reduce it just a little bit on the machine, yeah? So it's about a 1 inch by 4 inch design, so it's sort of going to snugly fit inside this. So I know that I'm going to use only the medium hoop today. A nice way for you to know whether your hoop size, like, do you know that feeling when you hoop a project and then you put it into the machine, and then when you load the design, then the machine tells you that the design is too big for your hoop? This is how I like to test. I just put my finger there on either side, and if this is my area of embroidery, right, if it fits within that hoop, I'm not gonna have this problem. But if it was something like this, then I would have to definitely take a bigger hoop so that, you know, I wouldn't have an issue with having to re-hoop again. Try to avoid wasting time that way. So I want to just find a reference point. For me, that's going to be the center of this design. So I'm going to use the centimeter side here because it's just a little bit more accurate. So if you can see, this is around 14.5 mental maths, around 7.25 is what I'm looking for. Wait, no, 7.7. What's half of 14 point? I need a calculator. No, half of 14 point blah blah is not 6, it's 7 point something. Has to be like 7.2. Okay guys, I'm not your math person, but I think 7.2 sounds fair. I had a pen here. There we go.
Thank you.
No, I have a pen. So I'm gonna just stick it at 7.2, so that's roughly here. And this is 1 inch, right? That's why I like these tape measures. So I just have to mark the half there. So this is my approximate center. Now, the name needs to write like this, yeah? So you guys have the straight view, I actually have the opposite view. So I always like to draw an arrow so I know like which side. So if I had a letter A, it's gonna come like that, right? So this is the name that I'm gonna write today. Just want to make sure that when you embroider, you don't have it the wrong side. Then you take it out and you go like, whoops, I embroidered it upside down, and that's just frustrating as well. So that's the only point that I have. I'm going to use pinpoint placement to make sure that the line, my name is straight with respect to the line of this fabric, but I'm going to keep the center reference there so that the name comes in the middle. So it's a lot to keep in mind, but trust me, when you're so used to this, it's very, very easy. Okay, I wouldn't usually do this if it wasn't for this tutorial, but because we're doing a tutorial, I'm just going to show you where else. I mean, like I said, pinpoint placement has 2 areas of measurement, right? That's one, that's another. So I'm actually telling the machine that I'm giving priority, just so you understand the logic behind this, guys. Priority is given to the line. So I will use this to start, but when I'm finally placing my design, I'm going to use these 2 areas to make sure that there's straightness and it's in center. So what I do is I take that middle point, right, parallel to this tape, right, and parallel to this. And I just want to make sure that I mark here and here. So it's level with the center and it's parallel to this line and it's level with the center. I hope that makes sense to you. If you don't understand why we're doing this now, when it probably goes on the machine, it becomes a lot easier. In reality, I would never really draw those lines there. I would just literally probably pick a bottom point and like measure it that way. But for the purpose of this video, I thought this would be the easiest way to show you guys. Now we're gonna hoop. I'm gonna come stand here so you can just see how I hoop. You want to keep it loose so that it's not so difficult for you to like hoop your fabric. And you place the stabilizer here. So you place the stabilizer here, and I have an audience now, no pressure, huh? People are watching me now. Oh my god. Okay, and because I'm using pinpoint placement, I'm not going to stress too much on whether this is straight. I'm not going to be an idiot and do something like this and go like, oh, it's completely diagonal. That's really silly, guys. The idea is you want to hit accuracy, right? So you aim to keep an accurate hooping, but just in case you're off those 3, 4, 5 degrees, you're not 100%, the machine corrects the rest for you, okay? So a lot of people like to do that. So they go like, oh, pinpoint placement. So I'm going to like put my fabric like completely diagonal, and like that's not going to really, that's going to be annoying later on. So just keep it that way, yeah? So it's approximately like there. This is actually another thing I actually do a lot in the store. You see these lines on the hoops? These are measurements of straightness. If you actually put your tape on top of it and you just run it over your design, that's a very nice way for you to see through the shadow. If you put your head right on top where the things are all parallel. Now you know why we should learn all of this when you're in school in math, yeah? Works big time when you're sewing. So I've hooped it, and for the residue, the rest of it, basically I'm just going to tighten the hoop. Always make sure that your hoops are always tight, and that the fabric, when you like touch it, it feels like it's the top of, we call it the top of a drum, you know, that fiber, that feeling, because you don't want, it's pretty tight. If I want to pull, I'll pull just a little bit. See, you see how I'm distorting the line now? This doesn't matter because we're going to use pinpoints to correct it. I think I've said that word so many times now. But you want to make sure it's tight because the needle's going to move so quick. You don't want to tear your fabric, right? So we're going to take this to the machine now. As I start the machine, one of the things I do like to check is, do you have bobbin thread? I do have bobbin thread. Do you know how irritating it is when mid-embroidery your bobbin thread runs out? A really nice feature on at least these top-of-the-range embroidery machines, I'm using the 700, it's just an embroidery machine, is calibration. One of the really nice things about this machine is it actually tells you when your bobbin thread is around 10% left or something. So even if you forget to check, you're good. So I'm just going to put this guy in, click for the noise, and then snag this. Okay, I do what the machine says. It's just basically calibrating. I think I was mid an embroidery, so I'm gonna come back to the beginning. Okay, guys, first thing I'm gonna do, I always like to calibrate the machine before I start, but right now the design is in the USB stick, so I'm gonna put it in the machine, basically, and then I click the open folder. I wanna go to the USB folder. I wanna run around and find the name. I have approximately sized the design to fit this area because I know as a very frequent embroiderer that I do not like to resize too much on the machine. The rule of thumb for resizing is when you resize, you don't want to go smaller or bigger than 20% of the original. So my range of adjusting the size here is between 80 to 120. Anything beyond that, like if I want to make it 50% the size of what it is, I would prefer to do this on a software. You could use BERNINA Toolbox, you can use BERNINA version 8, version 7, whatever. But use your software to reduce the size before you plug it in, because I think all machines don't have the capability of like digitizing. Even if manufacturers put it in, it's much safer to use a software. Personal opinion. Also proven. Okay, so pinpoint placement is this little thing right there. Okay, so but before I start doing pinpoint placement, I want to calibrate the module and I want to make sure that all the machine is like ready for embroidery. So the first thing I do before I start is I just hit the needle button and do exactly what the screen says. So it tells me to put the hoop on the machine. I do that right now. It's already telling me my design is too big for the hoop that I've put inside. It's a very intelligent machine. Thank you very much. So we're not going to do this. This is already in like go mode. We are not ready to go yet. We still need to place it. But see how the machine is telling me, I see you put a medium hoop. Thank you. I now know it's a medium hoop. So I'm going to now position this name in that area. And that's why I drew the arrow. I already know that this alignment here is not desired here. So I have to already flip it. So let's come to the info and I'm just going to flip this guy 90 degrees, right? Now that I'm okay with the alignment, I might have to just now adjust the size. You can already see that red box is gone. Please adjust the size. You can already see the red box is gone. That means the design currently fits into the hoop, and you can see the size as well over here. Okay, all right. So now is a good time for me to do pinpoint placement. Pinpoint placement is not just about placing; it adjusts size and alignment of your design, right? Oh, sorry. Before I do pinpoint placement, I have to first get that center. Okay, you see this little guy here. The target sign needs to match that guy there. So first hit the hoop button, get him to the center. All right, center of design, center of design. And now using the movement tool, that's the movement tool, I'm gonna try to move Afra. I wonder if Afra is gonna watch this video. She's a client of ours, a very dear friend as well, and she gave me permission to use her project to show pinpoint placement. So it's really sweet of her. Okay, so I'm gonna move her here, yeah? Okay, so I'm good with that. Now I'm gonna use pinpoint placement. Okay, I'm gonna hit that little square. Now you see how it's given me all these markers on the design? I can choose two. Usually, in almost all embroidery machines, at least in my experience, you only get to choose one reference point, which is what I just did right there. That was the one reference point. In pinpoint, you get two. Two allows you to not just fix size, but even alignment. So I'm going to pick the two middle ones, because that's the ones I have marked there with respect to the center. Do you remember? So I'm going to select this guy. Okay, needle has to be up. Okay. And that's active. Now I'm going to move my needle till I'm able to find it over that. Right there. I love it. So I'm going to set it. Okay? And you can see once it's set, it turns yellow. So I'm going to then click the other one. That's the wrong one. Use your stylus. I don't think I took my stylus today. So you get a stylus. You can use that with your machine in case your fingers are chubby like mine. And then now it's fun. I really hope the camera is able to capture both of these. I'm going to move this needle from here to that little point. But look at the screen when I do that, how the name starts to move around and adjust. See the size as well, right? That's 23 by 101. I have a feeling it's going to change the size as well. So as this happens, you see how it's reducing the size? Because the machine now knows that, honey, this design needs to be smaller if you want it to fit within your parameters. Almost there. And you can see how now the name is tilting a little bit. So as much as I could not see it when I hooped it, but in reality the name now is straight with respect to my hooping, with respect to my plane, my line. And it has turned by a few degrees, not too much. And according to the machine now, we're absolutely accurate. So I'm going to set this one now, okay? And it's yellow. So now I don't have to touch or change anything. I don't have to even worry about the middle point anymore because I have used 2 more reference points. So we're good to start actually. So what I want to do now, just to give myself a check, you don't have to do this every time, okay? Please always check under the module to make sure there's no fabric stuck there. That's disaster. Is now I'm going to go embroider, but before I start, I'll just do a basting stitch. This basting stitch is going to just help me light. Sorry, I think it's better for you guys without the light, but I can't see anything, so just for a moment. The basting stitch is going to just draw a box around where the design is going to sit, and hopefully it should be within this area. If it's not, then I might want to reduce the size a little bit more, because right now I didn't do a height check, I did a width check. So I don't know how that's gonna fit, so we'll find out. Yeah. Okay. So whoopsie. Quickly thread this machine. Today is not a threading tutorial. However, I'm very sure we have a YouTube video in our channel that covers how to use a semi-automatic needle threader. It's the same concept. Up, down, loop-de-loop, front of needle, pull down the gray thing, feed the lip. This is basically it. I hope you can see how beautifully in the center this is sitting, and I'm going to remove the basting stitch. I just did that just so you could see how parallel it is to the line. How beautiful the embroidery is. Pinpoint placement. If you have a BERNINA top of the range machine, 790, 700, 500, 880, 790. I already said that. 590. Try it out and let me know what you think.